Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Welcome all of you to Janata High School Gurli online class. Dear learners, I hope that you are well by the grace of Almighty Allah. This is Muhammad Nasir Talukdar, Assistant Teacher English, Janata High School Gurli, Mirzapur, Tangal. Dear learners, the whole world is affected with a deadly disease named coronavirus or COVID-19. Bangladesh is also affected with it. At present, according to WHO, the number of affected people around the whole world have crossed several crores, and the death tolls have reached several lakhs. More than 5,000 people of Bangladesh have died of this disease this year. So we are very afraid of it. And I think that you have been staying at home for a long time. So in order to give you online teaching, our school has started taking online class besides Sangsad television. Okay? Let's start our session. Today I am going to discuss about a very important topic for the students of class 9 and 10 named tag question. This grammatical item is very important for you. Tag questions. At first we have to know what is tag question. Tag means to add something or attach something. And I think that most of the students use Facebook, and on Facebook there is an option tag. So I think that you are very aware of this word tag question. So at first we have to know what is tag question. A tag question is a very small question at the end of a statement. A tag question is a small question at the end of a statement. Actually, it is used in spoken English. Tag questions are used when asking for agreement or confirmation. If you want to get any confirmation or agreement from the listener, we use tag question. In order to make a tag question, we have to follow some rules. There are some rules for making tag questions. Rules for making tag questions. Rule 1. Statement plus auxiliary verb plus subject personal pronoun. There is a statement and you have to use auxiliary verb and then subject personal pronoun. Auxiliary verb or helping verb. In English language grammar, there are 24 auxiliary verbs. There are 24 auxiliary verbs and they are be verb, am, is, are, was, were, have verb, have, has, had, do verb, do, does, did, and modal verb. And modal verb can, could, shall, should, will, would, may, might, must, used to, ought to, need, and dare. And dare. Dear students, to make a tag question, at first you have to use auxiliary verb. At first you have to use auxiliary verb. So there are 24 auxiliary verbs in English language grammar. Am is are, was are, have has said, do does did, can could, shall should, will would, may might, must, used to, ought to, need and dare. And then you have to use subject personal pronoun. Okay? Rule 1 has been finished. Rule 2. Rule 2. If the sentence is affirmative, you have to make it negative. And if the sentence is negative, you have to make it affirmative. Rule 2. Affirmative to negative, and negative to affirmative. If the sentence is affirmative, you have to make it negative, and if the sentence is negative, you have to make it affirmative. So it is clear. And when you make it negative, you have to use contracted form of auxiliary verb or short form of auxiliary verb, such as is not, isn't, are not, aren't, was not, wasn't, and so on. Okay? Now let's take some examples. Example: Rohim is a good student. Rohim is a good student. The sentence is affirmative as there is no negative word in this sentence. Is, at first we have to follow auxiliary verb is, and then we use subject personal pronoun is, isn't. We have to use contracted form of auxiliary verb or short form of auxiliary verb, and then subject personal pronoun Rohim. Rohim subject personal pronoun, isn't he. Okay? There is another example. We can do the work. We can do the work. Auxiliary verb can, can't. Pronoun. I shall not do this. I shall not do this. As there is a negative word not in this sentence, so we have to make it affirmative. Shall I? Shall I? Okay? It is clear? Rule 3. We know that we have to use auxiliary verb. We have to use auxiliary verb. In some sentences, we find that there is no auxiliary verb in the sentence. If the sentence is in simple present, we have to use do or does as auxiliary verb. If the sentence is in simple present, we have to use do does as auxiliary verb. Do does as auxiliary verb. And if the sentence is simple past, we have to use did as auxiliary verb. As we have to use auxiliary verb, so if the sentence is simple present, we have to use do does, do oblique does as auxiliary verb. And then if the sentence is simple past, we have to use did as auxiliary verb. Let's take some examples. Irad writes a letter. Irad writes a letter. There is no auxiliary verb in this sentence. Write is a principal verb. So we have to use do does. Right. Irad, the subject is third person singular number form, so we have to use does. Doesn't he? People love flowers. Love, principal verb. There is no auxiliary verb in this sentence. Love is principal verb. As the sentence is in simple present, so we have to use do oblique does. People, third person plural, so we have to use do. Don't they? Plural subject, don't they? Okay. Now I will give another example of simple past. He went there. He went there. There is no auxiliary verb before went. Went is the principal verb, and this is past form. So we have to use did. We have to use did as auxiliary verb. Didn't he? I think if you have understood this one clearly. Now I would like to revise this rule. If the sentence is simple present, we have to use do oblique does as auxiliary verb, and if the sentence is simple past, we have to use did as auxiliary verb. Okay. Now we have to go to next rule. Rule 4. Rule 4. If we find a man as subject in a sentence, if we find a man as subject in a sentence, we have to use he, and if we find a woman in the sentence as subject, we have to use she. And if we find anything or animal as subject in the sentence, we have to use it. And if we find the subject is plural number, we have to use they. We have to use they. Now, I think we have understood it clearly. if we find a man in a subject, Rana goes to school. Rana goes to school. We find Rana as a man, so we have to use doesn't he. Doesn't he. If we find a woman in the subject, in the sentence as subject, we have to use she. Tanya went there. Tanya went there yesterday. Tanya, we find Tanya as women, so we have to use she. Didn't she. If we find anything or animal in a sentence as a subject, we have to use it. The book cost me at 200 taka. The book cost me at 200 taka. Book is a thing, so we have to use it first. This is past form. Didn't it. If we find the subject as plural number, whether it is men, women, or anything or animals, if we find plural number, we have to use they. We have birds fly. Birds fly in the sky. Don't they. Birds, plural subject, don't they. Okay. Rana is a man, so I have used he. Tanya, women, so I have used she. Babu, everything, so I have used it. Birds, plural subject, so I have used they. Fine. I have already said that if the sentence is negative, we have to use it affirmative. So at first we have to recognize the sentence negative. For recognizing negative sentence, we have to know about some negative words. There are some negative words which make the sentence negative. Negative words. Negative words. If we find some negative words in a sentence, if we found any negative word in a sentence, we have to consider it as negative sentence, so we have to make it affirmative. There are some negative words: not, no, never, nothing, nobody, no one, none, hardly, scarcely, hardly, scarcely, rarely, seldom, few, little, etc. If we find these words in a sentence, we have to consider it as negative sentence. So we have to make it affirmative. Okay. So we have to make it affirmative. Example. Hardly. Hardly is a negative word, so we have to make it affirmative. Does she? Does she? I will give another example. A barking dog seldom bites. A barking dog seldom bites. Seldom, very rare. Seldom is a negative word, so we have to make it affirmative. Bite. A dog does eat. Okay, so I think this rule is clear to us. If we find any negative word in the sentence, we have to make it affirmative. These words are considered as negative words. Okay, now I will go to next rule. Rule 6. Rule 6. If we find some words as subject in the sentence, we have to use they. These words are every, everybody, nobody, somebody, anybody, everyone, someone, none, no one, no one. If we find these words as subject in the sentence, we have to use they instead of these words. We have to use they. Example. Everybody loves flower. Everybody loves flower. Everybody, we have got everybody as subject, so we have to use they. Don't they? Nobody believes a liar. nobody. We have got nobody as subject, so we have to use they. Will it present form? Do they? As the sentence is negative, so we have to use it affirmative. None can avoid death. None can avoid death. Auxiliary verb can. We have to use they instead of none. Okay? I think this rule is clear to us. If we find everybody, nobody, somebody, anybody, everyone, no one, someone, none in a sentence, we have to use they instead of this sentence. Okay? Now I will go to the next rule. Rule 7. Rule 7. If we find something, nothing, everything, something, nothing, everything, anything, if we find something, nothing, everything, anything as subject in a sentence, we have to use it. We have to use it. It. Instead of this words, we have to use it. Example. Everything looks beautiful. Everything looks beautiful. Everything. We have to use it instead of everything. Looks. Doesn't it. Another example. Nothing is impossible in the world. Nothing is impossible in the world. Nothing. We have to use it instead of nothing. Is auxiliary verb. Is it, as the sentence is negative, so I have used it affirmative. Okay, I think this rule is clear to all. Now I will go to next rule. Next rule. Am. If we find am in a sentence, we have to use are or aren't, but not amn't. We have to use are or aren't. Example. I am happy. I am happy. So we have to use aren't I, but not amn't, aren't. We have to use are instead of am. We have to use are instead of am. Aren't I? As I is a pronoun, aren't I? Okay, this rule is clear. Okay, I shall go to next rule. Rule 8. If we find any imperative sentence, we have to use will you. Okay, if we find any imperative sentence to make a tag question, we have to use will you. But if we find let's or let us in the beginning of a sentence, we have to use shall we. Imperative sentence. Imperative sentence. If the sentence starts with a word verb, if the sentence starts with the verb and it indicates order, request, advice, command and so on, we have to recognize it imperative sentence, and then we have to use will you or won't you. Imperative sentence. Will you or won't you, if you find imperative sentence. Okay, will you or won't you. If you find imperative sentence, we have to use will you or won't you. And we know that imperative sentence starts with the verb or let. Imperative sentence starts with the verb or let. So we have to use will you or won't you. Example: open the door. The sentence starts with the verb open. Will you? Or you have to use won't you. Don't make a noise. Don't make a noise. Don't make a noise. Will you? But if the sentence starts with the word let us or let's, then we have to use shall we. Remember it. And this rule is very important for the exam. If the sentence starts with the word let us or let's, we have to use shall we. Let us try again. Shall we? Let's go out. Let's go out. Let's go out. Shall we? Okay, I think this rule is clear to us. If we find imperative sentence, so in order to make that question, we have to use will you or won't you. If the sentence is affirmative, you have to use both will you or won't you. But if the sentence is negative, you have to use will you. And if the sentence starts let us, shall we, but if the sentence another object, exception us, we have to use will you. do the work. Let me do the work. If the sentence starts with the word let us, we have to use shall we, let us or let's. But if the sentence starts with the word exception us, we have to use will you. Except us, will you. Let them play cricket. Will you. Will. Okay? The sentence is clear. I shall go to next rule. Rule 9. If we find exclamatory sentence and we have to make that question in the same way of assertive sentence, but we find that in assertive sentence we often find subject and verb in the beginning of a sentence, but there is an exception. In exclamatory sentence we find subject and verb at the end of a sentence. At the end of a sentence, remember it. Exclamatory sentence. Exclamatory sentence. In order to make that question from exclamatory sentence, we follow the rule as assertive sentence. But there is difference between assertive or statement sentence and exclamatory sentence. In assertive sentence we find subject and verb at the beginning, but in exclamatory sentence we find subject and verb at the end of the sentence. Example: how beautiful the bird is. How beautiful the bird is. How? Adjective. The bird, subject is verb. And we find the subject and verb at the end of a sentence. So, isn't it? Isn't it? We have to use it instead of the verb as personal pronoun. And I will give another example. How sweetly the girl sings. How sweetly the girl sings. The girl subject, sing verb. We find them at the end of the sentence. Doesn't she? Okay, doesn't she? Now I shall go to next rule. Rule 10. If we find the before adjective and we have to consider it as plural noun, so we have to use they. If we find the if we find the before adjective and if the adjective acts the role of a subject, we have to use they, as it is considered as plural noun. The subject is considered as plural noun. They. The poor, suffer much. The poor, adjective, I have used the before an adjective. So the poor is not a man. Actually, it indicates plural. All the poor. It indicates all the poor people. It does not indicate only a poor man. It indicates all the poor men. So we have to use they. Suffer, present form. Don't they. The idle. The idle always lag behind. The idle always lag behind. The idle. The article the is used before an adjective idle. It does not indicate an idle person. Actually, it indicates the whole idle people, all idle people. So we have to use they instead of the subject. Lag, present form, lag behind means fall behind. Don't they. Okay? Rule 10 has been finished. I think you have understood this rules clearly, and if you want to make a question, you have to follow this rules. If you follow this rules clearly, you will make that question easily. So dear students, I have to finish the class today, and I will discuss the rest of the rules in the next class. And I would like to advise you that as you have been staying at home, so as this is very kind of association, so I think that you have to follow some rules in order to save from coronavirus by the grace of Almighty Allah. And I think that you should wear or put on mask, and you have to maintain social distance at least 3 feet, and you should not go out without reasons or without reasonable reasons. And I also suggest you that you should wash your hands with soap, with alcohol, and that is. And I also suggest you that you should take part in online class, as our school has started taking online class. So you have to take part or participate in all the online class. So I think that you will make cover your syllabus, and I also, or I highly suggest you to watch Samsat television, and our government has taken a very effective steps to teach or online education. And if you watch Samsat television every week, I think that you will cover your syllabus. And so now I have to finish my class. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I will upload the next video, and I think that you will watch them, and if you watch this video you will learn many things. So now let's finish my class. Thank you very much. Wish you good luck. See you again. Assalamu alaikum.